Joining us now to break down the current state of the Republican Party and where it goes from here is Tommy Hicks, the co-chair of the Republican National Committee. So, Tommy, it's a pleasure having you on the program once again. This entire week, we've been seeing Republicans in different states holding these hearings. We saw one in Arizona, Michigan as well, where they're detailing allegations of voter fraud from witnesses who say that they saw it firsthand. Is the Republican National Committee viewing these hearings and trying to put together a comprehensive argument moving forward?
Absolutely. We need to make sure that every single legal vote gets counted, and every illegal vote basically disenfranchises an American voter. And we can't stand for that. And I'm so proud we have a president who's a fighter right now here in the White House, and we're doing everything we can do to make sure the rightful person wins this election.
And so, of course, a big emphasis, we heard President Trump say it in a video that he posted today, too. We've also heard it from other allies of the president, Republicans, of course, saying that this isn't only just about this election. It's about guaranteeing the security and the accuracy of future elections as well. Where does that start? Does that start with a public pressure campaign from voters? Does that start with lawmakers who are currently serving? Where does that begin?
Well, it's protecting the very Constitution of the United States of America. I mean, we were founded on the principle that every citizen gets a vote. Right. And so I think it's extremely important that we make sure that we protect people's votes.
Yeah, and I think it's as simple as that, too, because, I mean, I can't stress this point enough. Back in 2016, Democrats had these very same concerns. They were calling for audits as well. They wanted to see the work behind the election system. And now here we are, of course, in 2020, and it's Republicans saying that. And I think that instead of shining it as hypocrisy, which, of course, there is there as well, but it's the idea that I think a lot of Americans just don't have faith in this system more generally. And I know that there are concerns from a lot of Republicans, too, but what is your message to people who say, for example, why vote in future elections if I can't have faith in them?
Well, the reality is, if you take a step back, the president got 11 million more votes in 2020 than he did in 2016. We flipped 14 House seats. The fake polls were saying we were going to lose 10 to 15, maybe even 20, depending on which poll you saw in the House. The American people spoke. Something smells. We're going to keep fighting hard for Georgia. That's our fail-safe. I think the president's going to be there on Saturday, the vice president on Friday. I'm heading down tomorrow. We've got to fight hard to keep this country.
Right, and if the president's going down there, for example, to really campaign on behalf of Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue as well, I mean, that shows you how much is at stake in that race, and the fact that Republican leadership do have faith in the system as well. I mean, as Ronna McDaniel said, from the audit that they saw, they didn't see anything that would have changed the votes either way, but in order to overcome any concerns that people may have about the election, they have to go out and vote. They have to win it by extraordinary numbers in order to get there. So when we're talking about the infrastructure in the state of Georgia, are you feeling pretty optimistic?
Absolutely. What we had in 2020 was the biggest grassroots presidential campaign in the history of politics. We're continuing that through Georgia. We have hundreds and hundreds of staff in Georgia right now. We have thousands of people volunteering who are Georgians and people from around the country who know exactly what's at stake. We have two Republican candidates who are business people. They go to Washington. They've done a good job representing Georgia in Washington with common sense, business-oriented policies. And on the other side, you've got two radical Democrats. I mean, these are people who AOC would be hanging out with. But it's amazing, and that is our failsafe between what we call the USA today and a socialist country. We have to win Georgia.
And, you know, for a lot of people, too, they may be saying, you know, we're going to have another election in 2022. Why is this one so important? But, I mean, think about what President Trump was able to do with the Republican-controlled Senate over the past couple of years. We're talking about Neil Gorsuch. We're talking about Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett. We're talking about all those federal judges. We're talking about the GOP tax cuts. There is so much that the president was able to do with the Senate, whereas if he did not have that, and if, for example, a potential Biden administration did have that, a lot can change within that time frame. So when we're looking at the Republican turnout of what we saw in 2020, did they give the Republican Party a clear memorandum of what they want their lawmakers to do over the next 2 or even 4 years?
Oh, it's crystal clear. And if we don't win the Georgia Senate, we're going to have the Green New Deal. We're going to have things that crumble our economy, that crush jobs. We're the party of freedom, liberty, prosperity. They are the party of lockdowns. I mean, not just lockdowns, locking down churches, small businesses. They want to take away your Second Amendment right. That's important to the people in Georgia last time I checked. And I think it's critical that we get people to turn out to vote, and we're going to.
And I think it's also worth noting, too, that a lot of these more progressive type of Democrats are saying that they want to add statehood to places like Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. And if that comes to fruition, I mean, Republicans are playing from behind from that point forward. So I think that when we're looking at whether it's the Senate or even the Supreme Court, there's talks about stacking the Supreme Court. There are foundational changes that go against the very things that you're talking about right there. So, but what is your last message, I guess I would say, to the people who may be hesitant about moving forward to Georgia, maybe hesitant about our future elections? What's your final message to them?
Well, in the end, the American people are very smart. They know a lot more than the media gives them credit for. That's why we have 11 million new voters in the Republican Party. They understand how important their personal freedom and liberty is, and that's what we put first. As the Republican Party, that's what these two senators, Senators Perdue and Loeffler, will fight for. Leader McConnell will assure us that we do not have a radical agenda going forward where they fundamentally change the country. But not only that, they do become, it does become a permanent one-party state. The United States would, and we can't have that. They want to change the election laws. They want to lock us down. They want to do everything they can do to change our national psyche.
Yeah, and this isn't anything that's philosophical or ideological or anything like that. Those are issues that you're talking about right now that directly affect people. I mean, when they're being asked, for example, to stay home and not go to work, not open up their business, that's something that directly affects a lot of these people. So I think the American people are starting to see that these type of elections, these type of votes do have consequences. And I think that should be the motivating factor for getting them out, whether it be Georgia or future elections as well. But Tommy Hicks, I really appreciate you coming on the program tonight, breaking all of this down. I know it's a lot moving really fast, but I thank you for coming on and breaking it down in a clear way.
Thank you very much.